Hey, welcome to this week's episode of the BJJ Babes podcast. I'm your host, Laura. This week's guest, Tess, was recommended to me by a listener, Mark, who recommended a couple of other women. And Mark, I promise I'm also going to reach out to them soon. Tess is a BJJ purple belt and celloist living in Texas. And it's interesting. I interviewed her 2 weeks ago and I was talking about a competition coming up. So that competition was just over the weekend and 7 members of my team competed. We're a small team. We all medaled. It was great. I actually got gold, which is my first time winning at blue belt, but I kind of feel like, Ricky Bobby and Talladega Nights, if you're not first, you're last, because every competition I've had at blue belt up until this point, like I've auto podiumed, I've gotten subbed, I've lost every match, and it really wasn't about the win. I set specific goals for myself and my coaches set for me that had nothing to do with winning. And so it was really about achieving those goals. And I set winning aside. I had a good day. I could have a bad day next time, but I had a good day this time. And Tess and I talk a lot about competing on this episode and about her experience both as a cello player, as a teacher of the cello, and her experiences as a Jiu Jitsu practitioner and competitor. So with that, I really hope you enjoy my interview with Tess. Here it is.
Hello, I'm here with Tess. Tess, thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Pleasure to have you. Do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself to the listeners?
Sure. So my name is Tess Kent. I am a purple belt. I just got my purple belt in January. I've been training for about almost 3.5 years. And then outside of jiu-jitsu, my full-time job is that I play the cello.
That's so cool. I saw that on your Instagram. I wish I was artistically inclined. So you said you've been training jiu-jitsu for 3.5 years. What got you started training?
Yeah, so I went on this trip to Peru and I met a guy named Mark John, who's actually who introduced me to you. But he's like a big dude. He's like this big Scottish dude. He's like doing handstand push-ups every morning on this trip. And he kept bragging about how his tiny Peruvian wife could beat him up because she was better at jiu-jitsu than him. And it had always been in the back of my mind that I wanted to do something self-defense-y at some point in my life. I always thought I would go to a 1-hour seminar on the weekend, but it seemed real. So when I got back to the US after that trip, weirdly, I just somehow got emailed a bunch of Gracie Basics videos from this website I had subscribed to. So my partner at the time, we started working through these Gracie Basics videos and I learned the trap and roll and it worked on him. He was a 180-pound dude. And so I was okay, this seems real. I'm excited about it. Let me find a gym. So I went and started trying classes until I found a spot that was a good fit.
That's awesome. So you tried a couple of different gyms?
Yes. Yes, so my very first class that I went to, I was so uncomfortable. They started the warm-ups and they were all right, forward rolls, get in line. And I was okay. So I got in line and I kind of tried to do my very first forward roll. And the head black belt was get out of the line. You don't know what you're doing. Go work with so-and-so. And I was okay, yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. And then just I was off to the side with this other black belt that just seemed like he really didn't want to work with me. And then when we started doing the class, I had so many questions about the technique because I had no idea what I'm doing. And he wouldn't answer any of my questions. He would come over and watch me say half of a question and then turn around and walk away. But I was already kind of hooked, even though I had such a bad first experience at a class. So I went to a Machado gym and tried their class, and there were a lot of women there. And there were two purple belt women that worked there that were there every single day. And so I loved it there. And I was okay, let me try one more spot, see if it keeps getting better. And the third place that I tried was, again, just they just made me feel so unwelcome. They took me away from the girl that I was training with and they were she needs to train, you train with this other girl. Yeah, it was brutal. I actually walked out halfway through the class because I was going to cry. So it's I don't want to do this. And then ended up joining that first Machado gym that I tried.
I'm so glad, first of all, that you didn't let your first gym deter you from trying again. And then I'm glad that you didn't go to the third gym next, because maybe then you would have been like, this is what jiu-jitsu is like. Like, I'm so glad that, you thought to try another gym. Did someone recommend that to you, or was it just knowing like you already kind of hooked and this just wasn't the right environment?
Yeah, actually. So my chiropractor was a jiu-jitsu guy. So after the first one that was so bad, I asked him where he trains, and he said he trains at a Machado spot. So the one that I went to was the one that was just closest to my house that I loved. And the third gym was actually his gym. And it was terrible.
I guess different strokes for different folks, but no, I'm glad that the second gym was good and that you didn't let that deter you. Despite the fact that the first gym, the environment just wasn't your vibe, what was it about it that had you hooked despite all of that?
I was really excited about learning something new. And I really like just like being fit and being physical. And I had gotten really bored of my Orange Theory membership. I'd always liked sports. So I wanted to do something that was like a sport where I was going to be like learning something, trying something new, where I could be like getting fit. And it just, I don't know why it didn't deter me, but I felt like this was the thing and I was going to find a spot.
Yeah. I mean, that's great, because I feel like a lot of people would not go back from that, and it's already an intimidating environment. Are you still at the Machado gym that you started at?
No, I trained there for 2 years, a little over 2 years, and then not this January, but the January before that, I switched to a new gym, and I've been there for a little over a year now.
Precipitated the move?
A couple of things. One of them was that I really wanted to compete more, and the Machado gym was just, it was a great school, but they were very like, we're not a competition school, like, and they were supportive when I did want to go out and compete, and my coach would always be there.
Yeah.
But it just seemed so much more fun to have a team, and like go out there and do it as a team. I would see all these people like posting their team photos and like talking about just like how great it is to watch your teammates win too. So I was sort of looking for more of a competition school. And then one thing that, everyone talks about like gym cultures and how important that is. And I had sort of started to realize that the head black belt was not willing to have one-on-one conversations with people about behavior or about unsafe roles or whatever. He would have these like group conversations with the class, but there wasn't just not a lot of safety checks in the way that I would have hoped.
Yeah, like in that if someone's not being safe, no one's pulling them aside and addressing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's frustrating because the general discussions are great. I've seen my professors, but if one person is consistently being unsafe and it's not working, like that does need to be addressed.
Yeah, and a lot of what was happening is like the person who's being unsafe, I feel like often doesn't know that they are. Like they maybe very genuinely like don't know that they're going too hard or that they're doing something that might hurt someone. And then the people that are very conscious hear that and think, oh no, maybe it's me. And so they turn it down and the other people don't, So the safe people are going way too light and the unsafe people are going way too hard. And it just kind of was like this weird thing that I was like, I think I just need a new spot. And I wanted to learn like more modern jiu-jitsu as well. It was more of like an old school, nothing wrong with that, but I was just ready for a change.
So how did you go about selecting your new school?
Yes, I had all these plans to like try a whole bunch of different schools and spend like a week here and a week here and like sort of slowly make my transition. But so my current gym, it's called Wolverine. I had been to their open mats a lot, so I already knew their like head black belt and some of the people there. So it was on my list of places I wanted to try. And I went there for one class, and I think they were teaching, it was either like single leg X or like headquarters passing, but it was something that I was like super interested in. And I went to that one class and was like, done, I'm joining. I didn't try any other stuff.
Maybe learned like different isn't always better. If you found a good vibe, why chance it?
Yeah, pretty much.
When you made the switch, did you talk to the gym you were at and just be like, hey, it's not personal or anything like that?
Yeah, I did. I had like a real big like heart to heart with them. We like sat down in the little office and I cried and was like, I'm really sad. Like I'm genuinely like very sad to be leaving. Because especially those two like female employees there, I don't think I could have done it without them and like I don't know, just like how much they helped me get started. So yeah, it was very like, I love you guys. I'm so thankful for like everything you've given to me and how much I've learned here, but I'm just like, I need to try something else. I don't know if it's the right place. I might be back, but I gotta go try this, you know?
Yeah, and it's not personal. At the end of the day, you're paying to learn something, and it's what you need to get out of it. And it sounds like that gym was a great environment. It just wasn't the environment you needed anymore.
Yeah, did you ever have any gym switches, or have you been at the same spot the whole time?
I've been at the same spot. I've considered gym switches. Like you, if I did switch, it wouldn't be, I love my gym. I love my instructors. I love my teammates. Honestly, it would be a similar reason to you with regards to to compete. Obviously, I'm not a professional athlete. I'm never gonna like compete full time, but I like that challenge. And so there's like the really competitive gyms, especially in San Diego, like those might be a little too competitive, but then they're like, I do want a gym with people who compete consistently, like to compete with.
Yeah, it makes a difference, like having those training partners to like push you. Yeah.
Well, and right now, actually, there's a competition. There's a Jiu Jitsu World League competition coming up in San Diego in 2 weeks, and there's like 10 of us doing it. And so I'm like, if this can continue, like the momentum can continue, like that would be great, because I'm seeing the change in the training with my teammates.
Yeah, 10 is pretty good. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. So you've been at your new gym now for a little over a year, is what I'm getting?
Yes.
And how are you liking it since you've switched?
Yeah, it's been great. It's been like everything that I hoped it would be, you know. It's very very current things that they're teaching. There's a lot of people at every class. I was listening to some of your other podcast episodes about like, I forget who it was, but one of the girls was saying that their instructor for like all the women pairs all the women's roles for them.
Yeah.
So, but they pair everyone's roles for them. You don't ever pick your own roles.
Wow. Yeah.
Which is interesting. It definitely comes with some pros and cons, but it makes sure that I always have safe training partners and always have rounds, and yeah, it's great. I really like it.
Yeah, that is nice, especially when you're new, especially if you're new as a woman. I feel like when I first started, it was like they tell us to pair up, and I'm just looking around like who's actually going to want to pair with me, versus when the instructor kind of makes sure that it's a safe role. That's important.
Yeah, and like not just a safe role, but also like a good role. You know, like I remember like hearing women complain like that all of their rounds ended up being with like the trial girl. You know, so like if I have a competition coming up, like they're not gonna like put me with the teenager who's trying class for the first time, but they will if it's, or they'll ask me, hey, are you okay with
Yeah, because everybody, like, we all deserve to get what we need out of class. I think that's definitely a good thing. You talked about the 2 female instructors at your prior gym and how without them, like, you don't know if you would have stuck with it. So what got you to stay with jiu-jitsu for these 3.5 years?
I mean, I think a big part of it is my like music background, because I teach cello, and so one of the things that I always like, my main goal of like what I want to impart on my students is the value of like effort over time, and that there just isn't a way to get results in a year as you can in 10 years. And it's really hard to see that because the progress is so incremental. But like with an instrument, like you just, it takes 10, 20 years to get good at a string instrument, especially. And I feel like jiu-jitsu is the same, right? It takes sort of an average or like a minimum-ish of like 10 years to get your black belt.
Yeah.
And I just kind of wanted to see like what happens if you just stick it out, and like I feel like 3.5 years in, like I'm like strong in a way that I just would never be from like a 6-week boot camp. It's the time factor that is the important thing, and the consistency of just continuity and consistency.
Yeah, and it's an interesting observation with regards to playing a stringing instrument and the parallels with training jiu-jitsu. And how old were you when you started the cello?
I was 3.
Wow, so your whole life, basically.
Yeah.
I don't know that I have an experience similar in terms of that I've been doing since I was that young, but when you've been doing something for so long, you just know it so thoroughly, and there's just that depth of knowledge and experience. And then when you start something from ground zero that you don't have that in, like jiu-jitsu, I can imagine that's intimidating.
Yes and no, because I also like I had all these theories about learning, and about what
Okay.
it takes to learn, like, not just like how do you learn to play the cello, but like what are the kind of like fundamental principles of learning. And I was like, I'm pretty sure I know this, but because I've been playing my whole life, I was like, maybe I don't. Like, maybe I just think that I do because I've just been doing this for so long. So I was like, let me, like, with jujitsu, like, it's so new, it's so foreign, I've never done a grappling sport before in my life. Let me just like try to actually apply everything that I think that I know and see if it works.
Did it work?
I feel like it's working.
Yeah.
I mean,
and that's so fascinating, because I think there is a part of jiu-jitsu in terms of learning styles and how to learn new skills. So I'd love to hear more about what those techniques were, or that process was that you decided to implement.
Okay, so this is going to sound really dumb, but what I tell all my students is that it's only 3 things that you have to do to get better at something. And if you're doing these 3 things, then regardless of how you feel about all the ups and downs, right? Because we all feel that, then you can trust that you're making progress, because it's the lack of certainty of like whether your effort is actually paying off that I think makes people want to quit or not invest the time. So the 3 things are action, intention, and repetition. Like, action, are you doing it? Are you going to a class? Are you practicing your instrument? Are you drilling the techniques? Intention, like, do you have a higher goal from where you're at right now that you're like aiming towards? And that might be the piece where you like need a mentor to help you, because you might not know where your next step is or what you need to work on next. But like, do you have a thought of like where you're trying to get to? You're not just like mindlessly doing it. And then you just keep doing those, you just repeat, you just keep doing it.
Yeah, repetition is a big one. One of my instructors, he's like, it's not practice makes perfect, it's practice makes permanent, which speaks to the repetition, as you talk about.
Yeah. And then like other like small things, one of the things that's really emphasized in music is you should be listening to your pieces outside of like playing your instrument. So I was like, cool, I'm going to watch tournaments. I'm going to spend a lot of time like listening and looking at jujitsu and like watching instructionals and studying people outside of my class time. Just like little things that where I was like, let me just actually try and see how fun this is and how much it works.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm going to have to try to implement some of that myself. I'd like to get myself in the right mindset to train. I used to watch like old competitions on YouTube of black belts. And I probably need to start doing that again, because you're right, like it does, especially if you're watching people with like a similar style to what you want to emulate, or like a similar body type. I think that can be helpful.
Yeah, and also like I would like, you know, I'm just like mindlessly watching videos, and then I'd go into a class and they'd be like, hey, today we're learning this, and they show it, and I have these like flashbacks of, oh, I've seen Gordon Ryan do that, I've seen Fionn Davies do that. Like I like already know it sort of before I'm learning it for the very first time.
Yeah, so it's a little less foreign. I can see that.
Yeah.
And so we talked a bit about the competition side of things. When did you start competing?
I think I went and watched my very first Fight to Win, like somewhere between getting emailed those Gracie videos and trying my first class. And have you been to a Fight to Win before?
Watched them because one of my professors has competed at Fight to Win. I've watched them like on, do they put them on Flow? Whatever they put them on, I've watched them. I haven't gone in person.
Okay, so I went and it was so fun. And I was like,
Yeah.
I want to do this. Like, I want to compete. Like, this looks awesome. So I did my first tournament, I think about maybe 7 or 8 months in. And I did Tap Cancer Out. That was what the name of the tournament is. Okay.
Yeah.
Have you done?
I have. I was supposed to do it this year, and I got sick, so I had to pull out, but I did it last year. Like a year or 2 ago, I lost a friend to breast cancer, so like I just really love their mission.
Yeah, I'm so sorry to hear that. How did you do at the
I got bronze. This was when I was still a white belt. At the time, they didn't have masters division, so my first match was like this 19-year-old, and at the time, I guess I was 36, 37. So I'm like, I could be this girl's mother. She beat me. But then she did not sub me, but she did beat me. But then the second match for bronze, I won with a Americana. How about you?
I had 2 matches. There were 2 girls in my division. I won my first one with an Americana, and the second one I won by points. But like she was definitely better than me. Like I remember, like I think I got to mount at some point and held it like just long enough to get my 4 points, and then the rest of the mount I'm just like hiding in turtle, like trying not to let her get her hooks in.
I mean, that's the thing about competition, you know, like it's not just like how much you know or your skill, it's how you show up that day. And how you perform.
Yeah, so it was fun because I came out of it like, I don't know, like really proud that I like won my first tournament, but also like,
Yeah.
wow, like she really should have beat me. Like,
Yeah.
But yeah, so I did 3 tournaments at white belt my first year. I did I think 4 at blue my second year. And then last year also at blue belt, I just my goal last year when I switched gyms was like I want to do 4 tournaments this year. Like that's going to be my tournament goal. And
Yeah.
I ended up doing 13.
Wow.
So that was really fun. I kind of maybe overdid it a little bit, but it was really fun. And then I've done 2 this year so far.
Yeah. I saw you did 2 Fight to Win.
Yes, I've done 2 Fight to Wins.
How was that experience?
My very first one, like it's so funny. Like you see me like standing out there, and I just like I couldn't stop smiling because I was just like I did it.
Yeah.
Like it's like I had like seen this before I even started and wanted to be here, and now I'm like I'm here.
Yeah.
It probably looks really silly because all the girls are usually like very rough, like ready to fight, and I'm just like so excited. But it was really fun. I won just by ref's decision. It was a really tough match. She slammed me right at the very end, and we like crashed heads, and we both had to go get stitches after. But it was really fun. So we have like perfect matching scars right above our eyebrows now, and we like see each other at tournaments all the time.
Hilarious. This is the fun part about jiu-jitsu is you tend to, especially I think on the women's side of it, we're a smaller community, you run into the same competitors over and over.
Yeah. But yeah, it was really fun. And she was a really competitive blue belt that I was up against, so it like really gave me a lot of confidence to feel like I could match somebody who's like been a blue belt for a while and was really having a lot of success.
And so the goal was you competed 13 times. Was it just the opportunities kept coming up and you were having fun with it, or what led to that?
I mean, pretty much. Like I don't even, like in hindsight, like I don't even know how I had time to do that. But yeah, like things just kept popping up and I was free for the weekend and I would ask my coaches if they were free, and we have so many black belts at our school that someone was always free. It usually ended up being like my favorite coach that would come out every time. I think there was only one that he had to miss actually. But yeah, like doing the Fight to Wins, and then I started, like I think I got asked to do like a Submission Hunter one as well, and like one other super fight. So I think 4 of them were like super fights, not tournaments. And then I wanted to compete at Masters Worlds again. Did you do it this year?
I didn't. My goal is to do it this year, but I'm a little afraid.
Yeah, so like leading up to that, I was trying to sign up for like as many IBJJFs as possible. I wanted to do the ADCC Open because I had done that my second year and like just lost so badly both my matches and like needed a redemption round. So I just kind of opportunity and just kind of feeling like YOLO, like I'm having fun doing it. I'm just gonna keep it going.
So it sounds like you do both like IBJJF points based, but then ADCC they are points, but
yes, but it's only points in the second half of the match.
Okay, yeah. And then Fight to Win, are they sub only? So which do you prefer, the points based rule sets or the sub only rule sets?
I kind of like the sub only ones better.
Yeah.
I feel like I do better in those ones because I feel like sometimes in the points ones, like I get my points and then I'm like, okay, don't move. And in the sub ones, you just like, it's okay to like get knocked off. It's not a big deal. You just like keep throwing up subs and hope for the best.
Yeah, I've never done sub only, but I guess there's more of an incentive in the points to play it conservatively. Like get your 2 points, stall.
Yeah, so I'm way more hesitant to go for subs, which is I feel like something I'm trying to work on this year. In like IBJJF tournaments. But yeah, the sub only ones are very fun. Because you just feel a lot more free because it's like, who cares if they get mount? Like I just have to give out, you know?
Yeah, then are you someone who, there's always the people that like will sub from like technically like bottom positions or inferior positions?
No, that's never me. I wish it was because I see these girls get these like awesome submissions from like bottom side control, but that's not me.
Yeah, one of my old teammates, she was the master of from bottom side control. If you gave her your arm, she'd Americana you. We're the people that like buggy choke or like push your head down and get you like in a reverse triangle. I just don't have the flexibility for those.
Yeah, I feel like I don't like think about it in that moment. I'm like, do your side control escape. Like, do the right thing.
Yeah, there's that too. No, for sure. And then do you prefer gi or no gi?
I try to do both. My school right now, it's really interesting. So every class is wear whatever you want.
Okay.
Yeah, so it ends up being a lot more no gi than gi, but it also means that like when I'm getting ready for a gi tournament, like I just wear my gi, and sometimes people will start to figure out like, oh, Tess is getting ready for a gi tournament, like I guess I'll bring my gi so that like I'll help her. So I'm trying not to have a preference. I would say like maybe a small preference for no gi, but I still really enjoy doing gi tournaments too.
Yeah. That's an interesting class format. So is it taught in a way that the techniques translate to both?
Yeah, and a lot of the time if we're doing like something like close guard where the techniques are going to be so different, they'll split
Yeah.
the class like gi and no gi and have a different person teach each side. But a lot of the time they'll just say like, here's what we're doing, here's the gi variation, here's the no gi variation, go.
Wow. I've never heard of that. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's interesting. Most people kind of like really struggle to wrap their minds around like that seems really hard and it seems crazy. And I feel like on the one hand, I am probably missing out on a lot of the real details about some of the gi specific stuff. But on the other hand, I feel like it's giving me this like conceptual overview of things where it's like, okay, like here's your collar grip or your collar tie, here's this or this. So it's like giving me options that like I could, like all of the no gi things you could use in the gi also. That it's about, it's not about the collar grip, it's about controlling their shoulder or controlling, and sort of having the freedom to be more creative about what grips you're choosing. But again, I'm probably missing some details.
I think everything's a trade-off, though. Like, I had one of my episodes, I interviewed someone who used to train at a Marcelo Garcia school, and I didn't know that his style, because he's like equally a champion in both gi and no gi, the instructional style there translates to both. And I like that. I like the fact that, you can take it and, yeah, like, it's the concept of controlling the shoulder. With the gi, it's the lapel, it's the collar versus the collar tie. It's an interesting concept.
Yeah, are you more gi or no gi?
I'm mostly gi. I'm trying to do more no gi. So I think that's also part of it too. I'm like, oh, this is interesting. How can I play around with this? Yeah, I don't know. They're different. In the gi, you can slow people down more. So like, especially as a woman being smaller with some of these big guys, you can control them by getting grips and slow them down. But then the no gi side of it, you feel a little more free.
Yeah, I had one of the guys that I was rolling with the other day tell me that it's like rolling with a noodle. So I can just like get out.
Yeah, well, I think that's the benefit too of like training with men. We become escape artists.
Yeah, but I think the gi you feel a lot more stuck, and then the no gi you just kind of like start to feel like, well, what am I supposed to like? How do I control you? And I feel like if I do one or the other for too long, then I really feel that difference when I switch back.
Yeah, for me, I think I'm a little more afraid of no gi, like, and I'm a little more picky about who I train with, because some people, like, I've seen men go no gi rounds and just be really violent with each other. And like, it's a violent sport, but like, I'm not trying to lose a tooth.
Yeah, that makes sense. And just in general, it's so important to just be cautious about whatever feels comfortable for you.
Absolutely. So where are you currently in your jiu-jitsu journey? I'm hearing that you just got your purple belts. So currently,
I don't know.
Where are you at?
I don't know how to answer that. Can I ask you first?
Yeah, I guess we could focus on, like, for me, the changes in like how you are rolling and how you're training and your knowledge kind of after the fact. So for me, I realized that after yesterday, I was at an open mat and I was training with women, and I was like, oh, like, I think I know the game that I should be trying to play is, and that should be my goal going in, is like, how do I impose my game on someone else? And I'm finally getting to that point where I am thinking in that mindset versus reacting to what someone else is doing. So that would be my answer.
Oh, okay, I like that. Okay, I have two things then that I'm going to say off of what you just said. So number one, because I just went to an open mat on Friday, I'm trying to think about, and this isn't just like my idea, this is something my coaches talk to me about a lot, but how do I make myself strong in every position that I'm in? And it's making me notice when other people, like, let's say like I'm in top side control and they start working on their escape, and they're doing all the right things. They're like getting the right grip and they're doing the thing, but they've broken their posture and they've put themselves in a weak place, even though they're doing what they're supposed to do. So how do I not like try to do the move, but how do I like make myself like structurally sound in the position first and like win, just like all the things about like you want to make yourself strong and make them weak. So that's one of the things that I'm really trying to think about is like, okay, am I doing this move in my most structurally strong way? And then the other thing that I'm trying to think about, going first. And like a lot of the times when I get my guard passed, it's like, oh, I let you get your grips and I didn't have to accept that. Like I could have just taken those away and gotten my grips. And I've been a couple of times now to drive down to Austin to go to these like 10th Planet Austin open mats because they're usually huge. And there's usually a ton of women. And those are some of the most aggressive roles I've had in my life are with these women in Austin. So my new thing that I'm trying to work on is that every round I'm going to treat, this might sound silly, but I'm going to treat it like they're like a really angry blue belt. Meaning that if I let my guard down, they've got some stuff that's going to be a problem for me because I'm like a very new purple belt, right? But that I can win if I play my game. And so I'm trying to have that mindset. Number one, to keep myself safe because like sometimes these girls are just like going nuts. And number two, so that I don't go into rounds with black belts, like as I'm starting to, learn how to have an identity as an upper belt. That like there should be exchanges that I can win sometimes in these matches, and if I go into it thinking like they're way better than me, I'm just gonna kind of try to hope for the best, but I'm gonna treat them the same way of like, I don't want to let you get any of your grips, I'm gonna try to do my shit. Not that it's gonna necessarily work, but that I'm gonna go into every round with that attitude of like, I want my grips, you don't get your grips, this is my game.
And that goes to what you talked about with learning. The third pillar of it is repetition. And yeah, you're right. Like maybe you're not going to get those grips on the black belt, but if you are consistently going in with that mindset, that is the mindset you will adopt.
Yes.
So being a new purple belt, what I have been told about purple belt, it's a long way off for me, but the higher belts no longer go easy on you and the lower belts all like want your head. What differences have you noticed in terms of training with others with the change in belt?
Yeah, big difference. I mean, honestly, only with women, I feel like, which sounds terrible. But, I feel like, and it might be me too, like kind of being like, I'm not gonna lose to a blue belt girl, because like I'm gonna lose to a blue belt guy. Do you know what I mean? I'm not that far from blue belt, and they're bigger than me, and it's like not a big deal. And I think for the most part, like I don't know. I also like try to have like a posture in roles where if I feel like it's somebody who's gonna go really hard with me, like as a guy that I'm not gonna be able to match, that I'll just kind of like possum and they'll match me. Like they'll be like, oh, okay, she's not trying to get me, I'll back off. But I definitely feel the heat like being turned up since I hit purple in a way that I didn't feel when I got my blue belt.
Yeah. White to blue, I did notice, I think I knew it was coming because I'd seen the black belts that I would go to like open mats with, I'd see them turn it up on my teammates who had blue belts when I was still a white belt. So they turned it up, but they, I think, still held back, if that makes sense. It's like they were at a 2, now they're at a 4. The thing I always fear is the white belt guy who comes in and is like, I don't feel like anyone else is ever gunning for me. I feel like the male white belts gun for female blue belts. I don't know if you've seen that.
Yes, very much so, but it's an issue that I don't have at my gym because they do all the pairings.
Oh, that's nice.
So they know that about new white belt dudes and they pretty much never put me with them.
Yeah. I mean, I have a tendency like to just say no to the new white belt. And you're right, it's the new white belt dudes because like we have white belts at my gym that are getting close to blue and I don't have that concern with them. Like they're gonna beat me because even though technically their belt is white and my belt is blue, skill wise, we're very close. They're at the top of their belt, I'm at the bottom of my belt. But they're gonna beat me because of that, not because they're like being dicks trying to break my arm.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like my gym is very, like, safety conscious. It's very, like, everybody's going to work tomorrow. Like, we're not trying to hurt each other. And I feel like I'm also really trying to have the attitude of, like, I'm I'm here to learn. I'm not like trying to win. So if somebody's like really trying to help me like that, I'm like, it's cool. You can win.
Yeah, because honestly, you're going to get more out of it with that attitude anyway. And you brought up too, like with someone that's turning it up too much, like you just pause them and kind of bring it the level down. That's definitely a thing. Like I've noticed, like when a guy is being really aggressive with me, I just play defense. It's just not worth it.
Yeah. But that was a conversation like early on that I had with one of my new coaches was like, hey, I'm having these 3 types of rounds where they're better than me, where I'm better than them, and where I feel unsafe. How do, where they're like coming at you, what should I be focusing on in each type of round? Like, what am I working on when they're better than me? What am I working on when I'm better than them? And when I'm getting punched in the face, what am I working on? When they're better than me, I'm just working on my escapes. When I'm better than them, I'm working on like my tournament game plan. Like, how do I get from beginning to submission in my line that I'm working through? And when it's unsafe, really working on like guard retention. Like they are not passing my guard, and just sort of like holding things off. And it ended up being that like these kind of like escapes, tournament game plan, and then when I'm working on my guard, like the only thing I'm thinking about is like how do I off balance them?
Yeah.
I'm not like trying to necessarily like hit a sweep. I'm just trying to like make sure they don't have an opportunity to pass. And then it ended up being that in all 3 rounds I have opportunities to do all 3 things, because if I get out, if I escape, then now I'm working on my game plan. If I get swept again, okay, now I'm escaping again, now I'm working on my game plan. If I'm in guard, then I'm working on off balancing them and giving them problems. But it also like opened up the door to talk about like who is making you feel unsafe, and making sure that they're having conversations with those people, and making sure that I'm not working with those people until they've made some changes in how they roll.
Yeah. I love that your coaches were willing to have that conversation with you and recognize like, oh, you're saying this, someone's a problem. Who is it, and what can we do to address it? That's such a green flag for a gym.
Yeah, and it also opened the door for like them to say, here's how you should handle when you're in the middle of that role. And also something that I feel like wasn't emphasized enough for me early on. Like I think early on everyone gets told like tap early and tap often, and that you can say no to any round. But the third thing that I wish was really emphasized was that you can exit a role at any point in the role. And that's something that I've like has been really emphasized to me at my current spot.
I think that's so important too, is if you're not feeling safe, like you should be able to stop the roll and end it, or tell them to dial it back, redirect in some way, and that should be okay.
Yeah, absolutely. But like it's a much more awkward conversation to have mid-roll if you don't have a plan already in place of how to do it.
That's a really good point. Have you had to do that before, and how did you address it?
I've had to do it a handful of times. I knew you were going to ask me that one. So most recently it was because somebody, not because I necessarily felt unsafe, but someone was really making me mad with like the comments they were making. They were kind of like baiting me, you know what I mean? And I was just like, and I just said I need to go get a drink, and I went and got a drink, and then I came back and they said, are you ready? And I said, no, I'm gonna sit out.
That's a really bold thing to do. Like I feel like my teammates all like tease during rolls, but it's because we have a relationship where I feel comfortable and they feel comfortable. But like if you don't have that relationship, that's a bold move. Like what were they, if you don't mind sharing, like what were they doing?
Sure. So what happened was I went for a shot. My wrestling is not great, right? So I went for a shot. I got guillotined by somebody that I shouldn't have got guillotined by.
Yeah.
I also feel really confident about my guillotine defense. It's just like it always hurts my ears to get out. So I didn't want to get out. I just tapped because I don't care.
Yeah.
And then he was like, your shot sucks. Like you're so slow. And then we stood back up, like slapped hands, and he was like, all right, all I want you to do is shoot on me until like your shots are better. And I was like, I'm gonna go get a drink. Like, I'm not doing this.
Yeah, he sounds like a dick.
Yeah.
Especially like if you don't have some kind of relationship with him where, like I have teammates that give me feedback on things and like will work things with me, but like that's like we've established that dynamic. If you don't have that dynamic with somebody, like, what the fuck?
It's so different, yeah. And it wasn't like, oh, let me show you. It was like, I don't know, like almost like he was trying to adopt like this coach role, but he's a white belt. And I was like,
Oh,
nope.
oh, that's worse. That's so bad. Oh my God.
So yeah.
That's what, like, and with people like that, it's like, well, the reason I shot on you is because I'm trying it, not because it's like my, you know, and I'm trying it because you're a white belt, so I'm gonna use you as a guinea pig.
Right. And I think people just don't know that at white belt, and it's so funny because like I think back
Oh yeah.
to like one of the guys from my first gym was a purple belt, and in hindsight, he was just using me to practice his armbar defense, you know? And he would let me get into all these like crazy armbar scenarios where I'm like following through like all these like belly down armbars, and I'm like, and I would go home and be like, I think this guy sucks. Like he keeps letting me armbar. He's amazing. He was a purple belt, and I'm like a baby white belt, and he was just like practicing his armbar defense because he knew I was never gonna like put it on hard because I'm like very conscious, you know. So he had like a very safe place to practice all these transitions and like see how well his defense works, you know.
Yeah. I mean, that's also just a good training partner too, because I found like purple belts can be really great. One of my really great to train with, like, especially as a white belt, because they know how to let someone work, but then like practice what they want to practice, which, you know, like you said, like I feel like when I was a white belt, I like had that too, and then I realized what was actually happening. And now I'm the opposite, where anytime like if I pass someone's guard, I'm like, did I pass their guard, or are they practicing an escape so they let me have it? Like, no, that's where my brain is.
I know, me too. I'm like, I don't know if I actually got that. Like, I think they probably just were trying something new, and that's why I got anything, you know?
Yeah, like I'm pretty certain they gave me that. Like,
but that's what I feel like competitions are for, though, because I feel like that's my opportunity to be like, did it really work? Is it really working?
Yeah, versus like, it's funny because like as a white belt, you don't know how much you don't know. So in some ways you're more confident because like you don't realize like how much like you're just everybody's mouse. But then as you progress, there's those upper belts that you roll with where you're like, they were a cat, I was a mouse or a ball of yarn, and they played with me until they got bored and then they subbed me.
Yes, I know exactly the feeling.
Yeah, I'm just like, maybe one day I'll finally get to be the cat as I maybe
as you literally have a cat.
Yes. This is Salem. He's the best guard player in the house. His guard is much better than mine. Have you ever watched like cats play? Like they are natural guard players. It's pretty funny.
Interesting. I don't think that I have like from a jiu-jitsu standpoint. You know, like I had cats growing up, but like I haven't been around cats really since I started jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, I have him, and then I have one of the dogs. Like the way they play, I just watch him, and I'm like, he's basically just playing guard with this dog. Like the dog is the dumb white belt who thinks he's like getting things over on the cat, and the cat's just like, haha, fuck you.
That's so funny.
Yeah, cat jitsu. The thing. What do you love most about jiu-jitsu?
I love a lot of things. Number one, like I love like how fit and like strong I feel from practicing jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Like I definitely feel like I'm in my best shape from training. I love the like community aspect of it and just like how many people you meet and like the friendships you make through it. It almost feels like a church, you know what I mean? Where like somebody hasn't been there for a while and you're like, oh no, like where's so and so? Like we have to check up on her. She hasn't been to class, you know?
Yes.
You know, and it's like this place where you like all come together, and when you're out of town, you can go to a different one because like everybody there will also be doing what you're doing, and it just feels like this like community that I have like anywhere that I go.
Yeah.
And I love the like mental learning side of it. It's been so fun to just like really dive into like trying to problem solve jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. It's definitely a puzzle. What challenges you the most with jiu-jitsu?
The most, finding enough time to do jiu-jitsu. Honestly, that's one of my challenges. It's like, okay, how little can I work and how much jiu-jitsu can I do in a week?
Mm-hmm. Yep, struggle is real.
Yeah, but as far as like the like challenge of jiu-jitsu, another like side thought when I started was like I don't know that learning has to feel hard and frustrating. And what if you just kind of like like surrender to the process rather than like really like riding all the ups and downs of I'm not where I wanted to be or I hoped I would be, and just kind of like just full surrender to, I don't know what's going on, I'm just gonna try. And that it doesn't have to be hard, and not that it isn't like hard, but that it doesn't have to be like emotionally hard.
Yeah, you can just enjoy the ride and enjoy the process.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean that I don't like cry after training sometimes, you know what I mean? But that's just like part of it. It's like, oh, I'm having a cry day. That's fine, you know?
I mean, it can bring things up. I mean, just both with the physical side of it and then like mentally, it can bring things up for people.
Yeah, definitely. Have you felt that in your jiu-jitsu?
Yes, so in a couple of ways, like I've definitely cried after class sometimes. Either because I'm frustrated with myself for something that happened during class and I just need to let it out, or like I'm going through something and jiu-jitsu kind of gave me like the release I needed to then be able to walk away and like get those emotions out. Luckily I've never been like physically attacked, so I don't have that experience. I know some women do. Do you think though, like sometimes, I mean, even today I was rolling with a girl who had really good top pressure, and I hit a point where I like was so close. I was close to like tapping from pressure because I was having a panic attack on bottom. And I realized like, I just need to breathe through this and it'll be okay. It was a very uncomfortable moment, but a very good moment for me because instead of tapping, I made myself find space to breathe and calm myself down while this girl, I mean, her top pressure was phenomenal. Like, so much kudos to her. And I made myself handle the discomfort in the moment. So yeah, that would be my story. How about you?
Yeah, dude, I went to Nogi Worlds this past December and I did the absolute. My second round, I fought a heavyweight girl. I usually fight at lightweight. I fought a heavyweight girl, and she got to mount, and it was everything I had not to tap from the pressure. There was probably like a minute and a half that I just was like, don't tap, and she wasn't going for anything because she had her points, it was like tournament rules. She was just trying to smash me, and I can hear her coach being like, she doesn't like it, keep doing it.
I hate sometimes when like the other coach starts talking smack and then you're like, don't let it get to you, prove them wrong.
And so I made it through like the full time, and obviously she won.
Yeah.
And I like broke down after the match, not because I was sad I lost, because it was so like physically overwhelming to be like pressed that hard. Yeah.
Yeah, that's something. It does not feel great. It does not feel great. I, in a competition, got smothered in north-south one time, and like I think I like spazzed out on bottom because I just started panicking and my body just reacted and like needed to like move.
Wow. Did you have to like smother tap, or did you get out?
I got out, and then she Americana'd me. But I got out of like, and I didn't tap. So, but I mean, you know what? Also, like I've smother tapped in the gym before. Like sometimes you're just not feeling it, and you gotta keep yourself safe psychologically and physically.
Yeah, especially when it's like a wet gi and you're getting like waterboarded.
Oh yeah, or like some dude is like smother tapping. You smell terrible. Go away. I'm gonna tap to smell.
Yeah.
Oh, but it's like. So there's like the bad smells, but then I have some teammates who like whatever detergent they use or soap like smells really good. So then like when I roll with them, it's like I extra appreciate it because of how bad some people smell.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy how bad some people get. And I don't know if they know. I remember reading through like a Reddit thread about like how do you tell your jiu-jitsu partner that they smell terrible. And one of the things was like usually when you bring it up, either they have no idea, or they know and they just like they don't know how to wash their gis to make it not smell. Like they don't have the right detergent, they don't have like the right things, and they like need help but didn't know how to ask,
Just like start showing up to the gym with like sample packs of like Tide Pods, like, hey, I got these for free, do you want to try it? Like, hint hint.
Like travel deodorants or something. Like,
yeah. Just like Febreze everyone before class, like get in formation and then just spray everyone with Febreze. Oh my god. No, I legit though, like when they do smell good, I will tell them that they smell good. Like I'll be because it's like I'm weird, but I will tell my teammates. I'll be like, "Hey, like, no, I'm not being weird. Like, you're like my brother, but you smell really good today."
Right, maybe I'll start telling people that. Sometimes people tell me that, and I'm always like, "Are you hitting on me?" You know, like somebody one time, he was like, "I love rolling it with you because you smell great," and I feel like I took a shower after I rolled with you, and I was like, "Gross."
That's like now that I'm like, I don't know how I would feel like. So my gym is really small, so like we all know each other really well. So like I feel like I can tell my male teammates without them thinking that like I'm hitting on them. Like I feel like I can tell them if they smell good, and then if they told me I smelled good, like I don't think I wouldn't think anything of it. But they would also never tell me I smelled good. They'd probably say the opposite because it's I don't know. We're a small gym. It's like just a very brother sister kind of vibes there.
Yeah, and again, that you like have those relationships where it's like okay to make fun of each other.
Yeah, that's our vibe. I guess that's the benefit to a smaller gym is you kind of there's the same people who show up consistently, so you just have like dynamics that are nice. But then like when new people show up, you're like, are you gonna be cool? Are you gonna be a part of our dynamics?
Yeah, that's definitely a downside to being at a bigger gym. And also I was thinking recently like another downside of having your roles chosen for you every round is like you know how sometimes you pick someone for a role and it ends up turning into like a Q&A and you spend like a few rounds with that person like just like working through stuff. So that never happens because at the end of the round it's everybody lines back up and everybody gets repaired up and there's never that like so there is like a little bit less of the relationship side that there I feel like there was at my previous school because it was also like a little bit smaller and a little bit more just like camaraderie.
Yeah, and I think there's pros and cons to everything. Like the nice thing about having a small gym is the closeness, but then like your training partners and your options are also limited. So that's the con to it. So my final question is what advice would you give to someone going into their very first jiu-jitsu class?
Okay, well, obviously that if you hate it, try a different school before you decide you hate jiu-jitsu. I think that's a big thing. But also like as much as I think jiu-jitsu is for everyone in the sense that anyone could do it and be really good at it and have a great time, I want to like honor and respect that it isn't for everyone. And that it is very physical and it is very uncomfortable. Like I remember I think the very first role that I had that wasn't with a woman, it was like somebody who was like, 5 or 6 rounds deep and he like got on top of me and he literally dripped sweat into my eyeball. And I was like, this is disgusting. So it's,
Yeah.
like so I want to like honor people's like preferences and like if it's not for you, then I think physical activity is something that's important and that there's so many different options that you just keep trying things until you find what you like as much as you want to be like.
Yeah, it's okay to not want people dripping sweat into your eyeball. It's also okay to say, that's a risk I'm willing to take.
Yeah, it's so fun and I love it. But I'm not one of those people who's like, everybody has to do jiu-jitsu, it's amazing. Because I recognize that there are things about it that a lot of people would find like a big turn off, and like really not want to be a part of.
Absolutely. Sweat in eyeballs or in your mouth sometimes that's happened. Yeah. There's a certain degree of grossness that you've just got to be comfortable, like willing to accept. Obviously no one is like going in wanting to get someone's sweat in their eyeball, but like are you willing to accept that might happen?
Yeah, but I think as a main thing, like if it's something you're interested in and you try it and you hate it, like maybe try somewhere else because there might be a better spot before you decide that it's not your sport.
Yeah, it might not be you, it might be them.
Yes.
Totally. All right, well, Tess, thank you so much for your time. This was really fun.
Yeah, this was really fun. I was listening to so many of your other podcasts and I was like, oh, I feel like we would be friends. So I'm really glad we got to do this. This was so fun.
Yeah,
thank you so much.
I hope you enjoyed my interview with Tess. If you'd like to connect with her, I will drop her Instagram in the show notes. If you would like to be interviewed or if you have recommendations, please reach out. Instagram, TikTok, and email. All BJJ Babes podcast email is at gmail.com. And with that, until next time, bye.